I will be reviewing In the Hall of the Mountain King, Peer Gynt by Edvard Grieg. The full instrumentation is a full orchestra, a piccolo, a double woodwind, 4 horns, 2 trumpets, 3 trombones, tuba, timpani, cymbals, bass drum, and strings. The main theme, you'll hear it around 18 times. And to give some context, Peer Gynt is a Norwegian fairy tale and was used as inspiration for Henrik Ibsen's play Peer Gynt. Ibsen asked composer Edvard Grieg to write music for his play. He did this and created 26 movements to accompany the play. Section A, which is just here. Peer Gynt enters the Mountain King's royal hall. Section B, as Peer Gynt gets closer, there is a large crowd. The Mountain King is sitting on his throne. The king wants Peer Gynt to marry his daughters, but to do this, he must become a troll. Section C, Peer Gynt refuses. The crowd roars and chases him. Peer Gynt runs faster and faster, but is almost captured. But at the last moment, he hears the church bells, and he follows the sound and escapes. And then in the coda, or the final section of the movement, the trolls all disappear within the mountain, and the mountain collapses. So let's begin. We have the pause. Now, the key of the piece is B natural minor. And you will also hear that the key transposes to the dominant key, F sharp major. So the pause itself starts on the F sharp major chord, so 5 itself, very strong. Okay, so what you hear, it could be interpreted as the announcement of the song or the trolls. Okay, so we move on to the next section. I'm going to show you here. So what we've got here is the B natural minor scale, and it transposes up to the F major. So that's the F major scale there, quite a few sharps. I'll also be talking in this analysis using Roman numerals. So when I say 1, 5, 1 or 1, 3 or whatever, this is the sort of context that I'm using. So you have B natural minor, and every degree has a scale, or 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's how you would write it. So the main theme, that's our main theme. So let's play. So that's 4 bars of the main theme. That's all you'll hear. Tempo of 100 BPM and the time signature of 4/4. You have instruments at the moment, just cellos, double basses, and bassoons. And what you're hearing just there in this particular theme is strings. And I call that a call, because what's happening is you get the strings playing the 4-bar theme, then the woodwinds play the 4-bar theme, and it reverses back and forth. While this is happening, either section will support each other while they're making their call or response. So for in this instance, the theme is played immediately by the cellos and the double basses with staccato articulation. Bassoons support the theme with a march-like bass line. A call and response is created between these two sections of the orchestra. Then you move on to the dominant. So then it moves up to the next, so it actually transposes up to the dominant key. So let's have a look at that. So just to show you the dominant key, that is what the chord, what it now looks like. So the theme is the same, but the chords have changed. So that is the call from the strings, again supported by the woodwinds, and then you'll have the call from the woodwinds supported by the strings. And in this instance, the chords are different. So it starts on, obviously, because we're in a new key, 1 is F sharp major, so the F sharp major chord, 1, but then we move to some interesting augmentation. So we have the F sharp major chord, so we have the F sharp augmented chord, and then we have the F sharp major chord, more F sharp major chord, and then back to a D augmented chord. So if you saw in the previous circumstance, what we had was ending on a D major chord, and this time we're ending on a D augmented chord. And that's particularly interesting because on the last section, which you'll hear here, it still feels like it's a D major chord, but it's not. It's augmented. So the music's able to get back to B minor after this particular dominant section because it uses that type of pivot chord. So using D major or D augmented, it makes the listener feel like it is that chord that belongs to B minor. So we feel like we're going back to B minor. Also, it could also be that the scalic nature of the progression allows for a smooth transition. and that the note that it ends on at the end of the woodwind section, just here, it ends on the actual, if you can just see here, this note here, it actually ends on a C sharp, which feels like it's descending back down to B. Okay, so then we move on to the next section. It's a complete repeat of the first string section. No changes. That also helps us get back into B minor as well. So just hearing it again. And then we hear this next section, which is a little bit different. So it's a cadence. Let's have a little bit of a zoom in. So this is the woodwind section, the 4 bars of the section. So the first part of it, so these 2 bars here are the same, no difference, but the second part is different. And what you're hearing is a cadence. So this 3rd bar here is changed. So what you're hearing is together you're hearing the descending F major scale going downwards, which is the 5, and you're hearing that in the double basses and the cellos. You're also hearing in the theme is changing as well. It's outlining the broken chord or a chord itself of F major. So it's 5. It's a very strong 5. So you're hearing 1, 5, and then in the next section, just here, so in the next section, returning here, you're hearing 1. So you're hearing 1, 5, 1. Back to the next section. Okay, so the string call, violins play the main theme, violas play a discordal lick of F sharp and E. It sounds jarring, but familiar because F sharp is the dominant of B minor. And then supported, you have woodwinds, French horn, clarinets, and flutes, which support the double bass and the cellos, with playing F sharp augmented chords on an offbeat along with the discordal licks. It sounds very discordal. It's kind of cool. Move on to the next section. So we've got this one here. So again, you're hearing more discordal licks. You're hearing spacious octaves between certain sections of the woodwind of the string. So you're hearing full octaves of B major, so B and B up the octave. And you're also hearing again the licks, which are the F augmented on the offbeat. So it's sort of oscillating between B minor, F sharp major, B minor, F sharp major augmented. Yeah. Then you've got the next section, which again goes back up to the dominant. So the tempo is slowly starting to increase, still 4/4. The call and response is still present, but not as strong. More of the orchestra are now joining in. So in this section, you're now back up to D, F sharp major, the dominant key. The section is transposed up to F sharp major, the dominant key of B minor. The main theme also appears to oscillate between F sharp major chord and F sharp augmented. So now we have a call. The instruments, you have violins play the main theme of F sharp major. French horns, clarinets, and flutes play an F sharp augmented chord. Violas continue to do the discordal licks. The chords start to become very dissonant. And again, you have that minor second. And then again, with the same reasoning as before, it's able to go back to B minor because it uses the D augmented, which is closely related to the D major chord, which is used in the main theme, which is just here. So that's the D chord there, and it's using a D augmented instead of a D major. It feels familiar, but to make it even more strong, we continue on. Back to the tonic. Feels very discordal. You're getting lots of clashes happening. You've got lots of F sharps and E's. But again, it's the same repeat. So this section here is the same as this section here. The only thing is that's different, which is some variations, a heavy articulation on the strings, and the licks are now longer and they're on every beat. Okay, so let's explain this particular section. So again, like before, the woodwinds, they get the transition next to the next section, and this is how they do it. So the oboe plays the theme in octaves, all strings play discordal licks, viola and cello on the beat, and violins on the offbeat. Chords are supporting the main, so the chords again are supporting the main theme. You've got the B, C, C, B, D. So it's the same progression for the theme. And then the last 4 bars, you have the trombone, tuba, the cello, and the double bass play a descending, like before, play a descending B minor scale. And then it goes into F sharp major chord. And then into the next section, it plays the tonic. So creating another 1-5-1 cadence, a perfect closed cadence. So let's just have a listen to that. And then you have 1. Yep, so, okay, so what's happening here? So all instrumentation is in. We're moving up to around 160 BPM. We're going to continue to get faster and faster, going up to at least 220 BPM. All strings played the main theme, discordal licks played on the offbeat by the flutes, oboes, clarinet, and bassoon. The French horns join in on the oscillation to outline the main theme even more. So I'll point that out here. So. So as you could just hear this in the background there, the French horns, they're playing and they're articulating and outlining the main theme even more. And then you have various 1-5 chords being played by the rest of the orchestra to make us feel solidly in the key of B minor or F sharp major. The theme is constantly being repeated by the full string section for 36 bars 6 times. So as you can count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strings playing the theme over and over and over again. Now you've got the dominant key. And then you come back to here, the tonic. Yep, so instead of ending the last theme on C sharp, like a C sharp note itself, so just here, it keeps us in suspense. The first little melodic motif of the melody is repeated twice, followed by the descending B minor scale. It makes us feel very at home in B minor and indicates a new section. So you go that repeat makes us feel very safe, and it's indicating a new section, a new transition, and we're moving on to the coda. Okay, so in the coda, you have an orchestral hit or crash, and the music stops abruptly with crashing off-beat chords and interrupting its flow for about 8 bars. A portion of the melody is played with the bassoon, trombone, and tuba, playing the notes G, F sharp, down an octave to B. So what you're hearing there is you're hearing discordal orchestral clashes, and you're hearing as well a cadence. A portion of the melody is being played by the bassoon, trombone, and tuba, which you're hearing da 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 da. So let's just play that as well. So that is what you're hearing. It's 6-5-5-1. So the crashes themselves are B minor chords followed by an F augmented chord. So 1-5, 1-5, 1-5, but not really 5, it's augmented. So it sounds a little bit crazy. A silent half bar of timpani roll, so the brrrm, which crescendos to a tonic B major chord. Bass instruments give a tonic B as well, followed by a thunderous full orchestral tonic B minor offbeat chord which closes the movement, which is a direct opposite to the pause section at the beginning where it starts on the dominant F sharp major chord.